And the action scenes are really creative, with running over cars, crashing into a truck of manure, and getting shot while racing, and racing out of a bar, and hanging on a clock tower, and having to slide down a cable. And it also adds to the story and the characters and themes. The chase by the Libyans got Marty into 1955, the Libyans and the Libyans to crash, and the fight with Biff got Biff to hate Marty more and Lorraine to love him more. The part with the lightning on the clock tower got him home. The dialogue is really deep and natural and meaningful, and really reflects the characters with lines like, I have your car towed all the way to your house, and all you've got from me is light beer," which really reflects how Biff only thinks of himself and uses other people. Someone bores him his car and he crashes it, and so of course he should bring it back and he should be sorry and pay for it. And but no, he expects him to have beer ready for him, even though he didn't at all know that he would arrive, and even though it's just his basic responsibility to get it ready for him, and the George shouldn't owe him anything. And what are you looking at, butthead? Say hi to your mom for me. Shows really how rude Biff is, that he never thinks of others, and only just freely insults them and hurts them very casually. And I know what you're gonna say, son, and you're right, but Biff is my superior, my supervisor, and I'm afraid I'm just not very good at confrontations. Really shows he feels bad about his lack of success in life, and about his lack of standing up to other people, but he just doesn't dare to stand up for other people, but he at the same time realizes that this is wrong. Well, I figured, what the hell? Reflecting, Doc has truly learned to become relaxeder about the future, using Marty's own small talk and swearing, reflecting he has learned from him. And no McFly ever amounted to anything in the history of Hill Valley. Well, history is about to change. Shown Marty truly knows how to stand up for himself. And Doc, you're my only hope. Shown how overwhelmed Marty is by his dilemma. And let me read something. No, I never let anyone read my stories. Why not? Well, what if they don't like them? What if they say I'm no good? I just don't think I can take that kind of a rejection. I guess that must be pretty hard for someone to understand. No, not at all. Which is also a very deep conversation, since George says the same as Marty, and it really reflects he just doesn't dare to share any of his dreams with others. It feels as though he's unusually pathetic. And it's going to be really hard to wait 30 years to talk to you about everything that happened in the last few days. And I'm going to miss you, Marty. I'm going to miss you too. Showing the two both really cared for each other, and so much so that they can be openly sentimental, and that a goodbye would be very difficult for them. And Marty, you sound just like my mom. Really reflects how rebellious Lorraine is, and how she doesn't want anyone in any way to tell her what to do, and how she doesn't in any way want to listen to her parents. And the acting is fantastic. Michael J. Fox is warm and friendly with a soft voice, nice smiles, and relaxed body movement, but can also yet yell angrily at people and act worried and sound unconfident, sound optimistic and be really smooth. Christopher Lloyd can look really ambitious and at the same time smile creepily and talk warmly, and can look very risky in his eyes, and moves very unpredictably. Crispin Glover sounds awkward and smiles awkwardly and moves stressfully. He sounds insecure and he sounds depressed and he's afraid but also caring, and he does a great job of playing his younger self with more energetic movement and intenser laughs, and his older self with more slow movement and restrained faces. And Leah Thompson sounds very sweet. She's sweet and she smiles romantically. It is very silent and moves fluently, and in her old selfless version moves a lot more awkwardly and looks more tired. And this is really superb acting, that these young actors can really act young, but at the same time can also perfectly play their older versions, looking really a lot more seasoned. And Claudia Wallace can really smile warmly and sound sweet and move fluently and look tough. And the set design is really detailed, and the sets are elaborate, and the props are colorful, the costumes are really colorful as well, and the direction is fluent with energetic movement and intense close-ups, and the film has got very complex framing, and it has really exciting cinematography and very comfortable lighting. The special visual effects are amazing. They are really three-dimensional, natural, and fast, and the editing is fast. The sound is really sharp and really pure, and it's just so intense and colorful all around. And the songs are really hopeful and multi-layered. The score is epic and mystical and tensionful and warm and dramatic and sad and poignant and magical and dark and exciting. It's just all around a very well-made film. Everything about it is great. There isn't a single flaw in it. It's just extremely well made. It's brilliant. Back to the Future had marketing problems, with Michael J. Fox not helping advertisement, helping marketing and promote the film because he was too busy working on Family Ties, and with the marketing department going against Robert Zemeckis' wishes, choosing taglines like which he didn't want to have, like "You think my mom's got the hots for me?" But the quality of the picture caused for fantastic test screenings, which worried Robert Zemeckis because the box office bombs I Want to Hold Your Hand and Used Cars also had very successful test screenings, but no one wanted to go see the movies, and they made no money at all. But this time the film had fantastic word of mouth. And Back to the Future was a giga blockbuster, making $383,874,862, making over 4 times as much as Robert Zemeckis' previous big hit of Romancing the Stone, which had made $86,572,248. And the film did immensely well in home media and wonderful in rentals. It got widespread critical acclaim and at its release and universal critical acclaim over time, with 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, with the consensus inventive, funny and breathlessly constructed. Back to the Future is a rousing time travel adventure with an unforgettable spirit, and an 8.5 on IMDb. It did masterfully with audiences at its release. And even better over time, getting 88% on Rotten Tomatoes audiences ratings. It got an immense fan base which grew over time. It got a wonderful reputation which grew over time, and enormous cultural impact which grew over time. The film got put on many top lists and at its release, and even more over time, and the film got nominated for and won many awards. It won the Academy Award for Best Sound Editing, and got nominated for Best Song, Best Sound Mixers and Best Original Screenplay, and the film won the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation and the Saturn Award for Best Science Fiction Film. And Michael J. Fox and the special visual effects designers won for the Saturn Awards as well. And Zemeckis and composer Alan Silvestri and the costume design and the supporting actors Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson, Christopher Glover and Thomas F. Wilson were also all nominated. And the film was nominated for BAFTAs for Best Film, Original Screenplay, Special Visual Effects, Production Design and Editing. At the 43rd Golden Globe Awards, it was nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, Original Song, Best Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and Best Screenplay. And on December 2007, Back to the Future was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And its reputation was further cemented by getting nominated for the American Institute's Top 100 Films list, and again for their 10th anniversary edition Top 100 Films list. And its success caused people to go see and buy and rent Romancing the Stone, and also I Want to Hold Your Hand in Used Cars, and even 1941, causing those films to do better over time, selling well in home media and doing extremely well in rentals, and getting many fans and a strong reputation. And this is all completely deserved. Back to the Future is fantastic. So Back to the Future was a great production that paid off, and it's an outstanding masterpiece, a perfect film, and the greatest film of 1985, one of the absolute best films of the 80s, and one of the best films of all time, and the second best film of the wonderful career of the genius Robert Zemeckis. And it is fairly rated and deserved to get praised, and got fairly so, and all the praise is fair. I gave it a 10+. Go see it. The mega success of Back to the Future caused Robert Zemeckis to become one of the biggest filmmakers in Hollywood, and he was rehired by Disney to direct Who Framed Roger Rabbit, for which they fired him after I Want to Hold Your Hand and Used Cars were box office bombs. And he now got complete artistic control and Final Cut privilege, and a huge part of the box office recipes. And he could now work with Steven Spielberg, who was an even bigger filmmaker now, and especially a bigger producer. And Steven Spielberg produced Who Framed Roger Rabbit alongside with him, and he had and he therefore not only made up for all the flops he'd caused Spielberg, but he also greatly aided his career and had now become a great asset and a respectful colleague for Spielberg. And also the film's success led to the making of 2 sequels back to back. The first sequel, the second film, The Middle Chapter, Back to the Future Part 2, and the second sequel, the prequel, the third film, The Middle Chapter, Back to the Future Part 3. And it also it led to a long-time prosperous collaboration between Robert Zemeckis and Industrial Light and Magic, as they would invent, develop, and innovate film technology and special visual effects on Robert Zemeckis' next film using compositing and animation and meta tactics for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, on which they did a brilliant job, and then further invent, develop and innovate film technology and special visual effects in Back to the Future Part 2, in which they used opticals and models and blue screens and digital combusting, for which they did a fantastic job, and to do great work on Back to the Future Part 3, on which they used opticals and models, for which they did a magnificent job, and further invent, develop and innovate film technology and special visual effects on Death Becomes Her, for which they used CGI, for which they did a masterful job, and even further invent, develop and innovate film technology and special visual effects on Forrest Gump, on which they used CGI and blue screen and blue clothing, for which they did an outstandingly masterful job. So they would go on to do the amazing special visual effects on Robert Zemeckis' next 5 wonderful films, making them do the amazing special visual effects on 6 of his great films in total. And the film greatly aided the career of Steven Spielberg, who had a great career writing and directing, and mildly a good career producing, but who hadn't had a great producing career yet a lot, having produced some flops under Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, who had been a detractor of his career. And Steven Spielberg had started off slowly and had directed the unsuccessful The Sugarland Express and then launched his career when he directed the immensely successful Jaws and sustained it when he had story written and screen written and directed the wonderfully successful Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then dipped a bit and had problems producing, having executive produced the flops I Wanna Hold Your Hand from Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, and then dipped further directing the less successful 1941 for Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, then dipped even further and was again unsuccessful producing as an executive producer, working on the flops Used Cars from Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. And he was then still successful when he produced a mildly successful Continental Divide, but he wasn't that big as a producer and even dipped a bit as a filmmaker overall. And then he rebounded when he directed the really successful Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then further cemented his career and became a successful producer for his own, work, story writing, screenwriting, and co-producing and uncreditedly co-directing the super successful Poltergeist. Then became legendary and a more successful producer for his own work, co-producing and directing E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Then he launched himself as a successful producer for other works, cementing his career even further, executive producing Gremlins. And now Back to the Future was an immense hit and further solidified Steven Spielberg as a fantastic filmmaker and now also as a producer for other filmmakers' works. And Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale had completely made up for all the downfalls they caused in his career and even greatly aided to it a lot, and had become great aids in his career and great respectful colleagues. And it also greatly supported the career of Kathleen Kennedy, who was shining at the time, making her even more bankable and famous. She had produced Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, launching her career, and she had cemented her career associate producing Poltergeist and sustained her career when she produced E.T. the Extraterrestrial and executive produced Gremlins and associately produced Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, produced The Color Purple and executively produced The Young Sherlock Holmes. And this film truly made her legendary and one of the biggest filmmakers in Hollywood, and it also greatly aided the career of Frank Marshall, launching him into mega blockbuster territory. Frank Marshall had also launched his career when he produced Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. He and Frank Marshall in fact are married and work together a lot, especially also on Steven Spielberg films. They are often a famous trio, and he was also further sustained when he produced Poltergeist with his wife, and executive produced Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and executive produced The Color Purple. Now he became one of the greatest filmmakers in Hollywood. Well, we are going to look at both sequels, starting with Back to the Future Part 2 next time. Bye!